Revelations 13:1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. All right? Now breaking it down from the beginning, it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea. All right? John the Revelator, all right? Or Apostle John, or Saint John, all right? As he was standing, all right, in his vision, he saw, himself standing in the sea, because he was on the island of Patmos. All right, he was standing in the sea, and in that vision that he had, all right, it says, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. All right. So he was looking out to the sea. All right. But also that sea represents, all right, that water represents nations. You know, he literally saw a beast rise up out of the sea. You know. But the representation is what matters. So Revelations 17:15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. All right? Nations and tongues are gonna, come upon that where that whore sitteth, man. All right. So, Book of Judges. Let me get this one real quick. Numbers, Deuteronomy. Judges chapter 5 and verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water. All right. They that are delivered from the archers. Who are the archers? The ICBMs. All right. The nations that shoot out those ICBM. All right. Those are the archers. The arrows, all right, which are seen as bows, those would be the ICBMs. It says, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of Yahweh. All right, going out to the highways and byways, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, keeping the Sabbath, keeping the Passover, keeping the feasts, all right, keeping the faith, that all goes into keeping the righteous acts of Yahweh. It says, even the righteous acts towards the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. All right, which are who? The nation, all right? The tribes, going out to the highways and preaching to the tribes. Teaching them who they are, teaching them what they ought to do. It says, then shall the people of Yahweh go down to the gates. All right? And it says, this next part spiritual too. Verse 12, awake, Salakia. Awake, awake, Deborah, awake, awake, utter a song, arise, Barak, and lead thy captivity captive, thou son of Abinoam. All right? Because in those last days, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua is going to wake up his men again. All right? Which also the Mayans prophesied that there would be a great awakening. All right? That great awakening was going to come, and the ancients, all right, the elders would wake up and teach the world the ways of righteousness, the righteous ways. And that's happening right now, you know, through our elders, our apostles, through the brothers. Those are the ancient of days, man, you know, or the ancients, you know. Yahweh the Most High is the ancient of days, you know. But the ancients are those prophets coming back, you know. So it says, Job. Job chapter 27. And 8. Job 27 and 8. For what is the hope of the hypocrite, though he hath gained, when the Most High taketh away his soul? All right? So what are you elites going to do when the Most High takes you away, man? What are you 2/3 going to do when the Most High takes you away? You know? You gained everything, all right? But the Most High controls you at the end of the day. It says, will the Most High hear his cry when trouble cometh upon him? All right? No. Like John chapter 9 says, the Most High heareth not sinners. All right? It says, verse 10, will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon the Most High? All right? The wicked man will not call upon the Most High. You know? A righteous man is. That's our strong tower. The Most High. You know? Verse 11, I will teach you by the hand of the Most High, that which the Almighty will I not conceal. You know, the cops probably called on me again. Or the people called on me again. You know? It says, behold, all ye yourselves have seen it. Why then are ye thus altogether vain? This is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High and with the heritage of the oppressors. Salakia. Give me a second here. Gotta put this damn thing on right here. You know? But it says, verse 13, Job 27 and 13. This is the portion of a wicked man with the Most High, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. Al-Shadia. If his children be multiplied, it is not, or it is for the sword. All right? So if the children of the oppressors be multiplied, it's really for the sword. You see? Like we read in Revelations, and also we're going to read that in chapter 13. It says, verse 15, Salakia 14, if his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offering shall not be satisfied with bread. All right? Why? Because they're trying to take over the whole world, man. You know? They don't want just enough land to flourish and prosper. They don't really want that, man. All right? They want everything that they can get. You know? And even more so. So it says, verse 15, those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. All right? Now, who is this him? Who is this wicked man? All right? Who can understand? You know? It says, though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. You see? So when that time of trouble comes, which the book of Daniel explains, see if I could get that real quick. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book of life. All right? Everyone that should be found written in the book. All right? The book of life. You see? Those are the ones that are going to be delivered, the righteous, So going back to Job 27, it says, verse 15, those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep, though we heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay. It says, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. All right? So no matter what you think you're doing, those underground bunkers and the storing up food and, storing up of all these things, man, you can do it as the Most High said, but you just don't know that all those things you're doing are actually going to be given to a righteous man, Those are actually going to be given to righteous men, whether it be food or clothing, you see? So it says, he builded his house as a moth, and as a moth that the keeper maketh, the rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He opened his mouth, his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him, and waters, a tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carrieth him away, and departeth, and as a storm hurleth him out of his place. The Most High shall cast upon him, and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and he shall hiss him out of his place. All right? That's talking about your destruction, Esau, Edom. All right? That is who the wicked is. That is who that wicked man is. So going back here, let me read this again. Matthew chapter 18 and verse 7. Woe unto the world because of offenses, for it must needs be that offenses come. All right, so it has to happen. But woe to the man by whom offenses cometh. All right, woe to the man by whom offenses cometh. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 9. This is who that man is. All right? Plain and simple. 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. You see? So the kingdom of heaven belongs to Jacob. There's no way around that one. This is the book of Obadiah. Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 8. Behold, the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh, are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, saith Yahweh. All right, I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. That means entirely. All right, why? Because a remnant has to be saved of the house of Jacob in order to replenish the earth. It says, verse 9, for lo, I will command, and I will swift the house of Israel among all nations. You see? Like as corn is lifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say, the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. All right? And that's what our people are thinking, man. You know? They're thinking, you know, I'm going to be okay. You know? I'm going to be okay. You know? And that's when that destruction is going to overtake you. It says, verse 11, Obadiah 1 and 11. In that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof. And I will rise up the ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Verse 12, that they may possess the remnant of Edom and of all the heathen, which are called by my name, saith Yahweh, that doeth this. All right, so like I said earlier, it's not us that will and do. All right, it's the Most High that wills and does. You know, it says Hebrews 9 and 16. For where a testament is, there must also necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is a force after men are dead. Otherwise, it is of no strength at all while it's a testator liveth. All right? So whenever we die or we get taken up, then will you know there was a prophet among you. All right? Then will you know that the words were true. Then you're going to sob and cry and look after, you know, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and try and go after him. But it's going to be too late. And the only thing is that you're going to see is yourself dying, man. You know? That's the only thing you're going to see. Your death. So going back to Revelation 13 and 1, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. And like we read in Revelation 17 and 15, it says, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And that's where all Israel was scattered throughout, man. You know? But the most important thing about that passage is what came out of the nations and tongues. All right? It says, a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. All right? Blasphemy is when you go up against the truth of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. And like we read, even though women are strong, kings are strong, the truth of the Most High is the strongest. All right? So those 7 heads represent 7 nations. All right? Those 10 horns represent 10 kingdoms. All right? The 7 heads are the 7 nations. All right? Which is the Greek. All right? It started off with the Greeks, and then it moved on to the Romans. Germania Major, Germania Minor. There was a 1,000-year period where this devil was in a low state. All right? He wasn't in rulership. Esau, Edom. After 1,000 years, you have what is called the Renaissance. The Renaissance means the rebirth. And it wasn't of music, all right? It wasn't of painting, because that was already there before them, all right? But it was iconoclast and the uprising of the so-called white man, all right? And then you had the Spanish. Then you had the French, all right? Which makes 6, all right? The 4, 1,000 years, the Spanish, and then you had the French, all right? After the French, 7, all right, would be the English, all right? England. So in Revelation 17, you also have verse 8, Revelation 17 and 8. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, which is Europe, and go into perdition. All right? Came out of Europe. Who came out of Europe? The United States. All right? And go into perdition, which means destruction. It says, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. All right? So those that wonder after the beast, that admire the beast, that follow after the beast, are going to be 2/3, all right, and the rest of the nations. It says, and they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains, all right? I believe it was 2 days ago when I was here, and I said that the mountains represent nations, all right? Joel chapter 2. The mountains represent nations, but also it's government structure, all right? A mountain, a government, all right? You have, which comes to mind, all right, they say that there's no proof that there was Joseph, all right, which was a tribe of Israel, all right? They say there's no proof that he was ever a pharaoh in Egypt, all right? But you see that a few pharaohs after Joseph, all right, because he didn't even know who Joseph was, you know? He didn't even know who Joseph was, man. You know, how much more now? All right? But you do have this one pharaoh that was named Yaqub Har, all right? There was a pharaoh named Yaqub Har, which means what? Yaqub, all right, is how you would say Jacob in Egypt, Yaqub, all right? But yet the name Har, all right, is not a last name, all right, but it means mountain. Jacob's mountain, all right? Jacob's government, you know? The nation of Israel, man, you know? Look it up. Yaqub Har, all right? So in Revelation 17 and 9, it says, and here is the mind which has wisdom. So not just anybody can read this, all right? But a mind that has wisdom, starting with the fear of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, you know? And it says, the 7 heads are 7 mountains, all right? 7 nations, 7 governments. One which the woman sitteth, all right? So out of those 7, the woman is going to sit within one of those 7. That means she's going to come out of one of those 7. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. All right, because the Spanish, they were already around the time of the apostles, you know? It says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7.